On behalf of our country, I want to just let you know, anytime you have any question, any doubt, anything you want, any favors you need, anything I can do to help Japan, we will be there. We are an ally at the strongest level.
There are moments in history when the world quietly turns, and most people do not notice until the shift is already irreversible. Today, we are living through one of those moments. Much of the media continues to talk about personality and emotion. They debate tone, posture, and language as if world affairs were a television drama. They are invested in performance, not power. And because of that, they have missed the strategy. They have missed the structure. They have missed the quiet rearrangement of the world's center of gravity. While commentators obsess over rhetoric and outrage, something colder, more deliberate, and significantly more consequential is unfolding. The United States has not withdrawn from the world, it has reselected it. Part 1: The Global Chess Strategy. For decades, the assumption was simple. America was the sentimental leader of the West, loyal, predictable, eternally obligated to the same partners. That era has ended. A new doctrine has emerged. Alliances based on national advantage, not nostalgia. Moves once interpreted as chaos now reveal a pattern. Strengthening ties with ASEAN, deepening coordination with India, a stabilizing corridor with the Middle East, a decisive partnership with Argentina, strategic pressure and engagement with Venezuela, industrial integration with Mexico. This is not retreat. It is selection. It is leverage recalibration. Even the posture toward China is not admiration nor capitulation. It is positioning, negotiation from strength, not sentiment. In strategy, you do not avoid your rival. You sit across the table with better supply lines and stronger allies. The policy is simple to describe, difficult to execute. Pivot toward nations who offer resources, capacity, and strategic alignment. Step back from those who offer rhetoric, entitlement, or inertia. Many in the West confuse disruption with chaos. They mistook reordering for madness. They believed tearing up stale assumptions was recklessness. That was an error. Sometimes you must clear the board before you play the next game. Part 2: The Western Governance Failure. To understand why this realignment happened, we must examine what broke. Across much of the West, governance drifted into symbolism. Policies became moral gestures. Outcomes became secondary to appearances. Energy strategies were built on aspiration instead of physical supply. Immigration was guided by sentiment rather than enforcement capacity. Urban policy prioritized compassion without competence. Money printing outpaced industrial capacity. Climate mandates ignored mineral reality, and rhetoric overran results. Growth slowed, infrastructure aged, security eroded, and capital quietly voted with its feet. Canada is a case study in this shift. Canadian media proudly speaks of Canadian elbows up, of defiance toward Washington, yet Canadian capital is flowing into the United States at record levels. We hear dramatic stories about Canadians boycotting Budweiser or Jack Daniels as though the American economy rests on beer and bourbon, while the United States signs multi-trillion-dollar trade and energy agreements across Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East. Canadian television elevates a story about a single American nurse moving north to escape Trump, while Canada's own healthcare system strains under long emergency room lines, staffing shortages, and layoffs. And as Canadian leaders speak of fairness and equity, high net worth Canadians quietly relocate, not out of dislike for their country, but out of concern for its direction. And while Canada and parts of the Western left fixate emotionally on tariffs and slogans, they overlook what is actually happening. The United States has unleashed the most pro-industry transformation in a generation, accelerated depreciation on equipment, expanded research and development credits, deregulation across healthcare, crypto, and finance, an open runway for artificial intelligence and emerging technologies, offshore drilling permits, a national energy posture built on capacity, not wishful thinking. While Canada struggles with interprovincial energy barriers and symbolic policymaking, the United States opens entire sectors. One side performs economics, the other practices it. The West forgot a simple principle. The world still runs on energy, minerals, manufacturing, and borders. Sentiment does not fuel a power grid. Hashtags do not secure trade lanes. Borders do not enforce themselves out of courtesy. And layered atop this, for years, much of the Western left reduced Donald Trump to slogans. Hitler, taco, a caricature, a punchline. The problem with this reflex is not that it is juvenile, it is that it is strategically illiterate. If he were truly a dictator, diplomacy would be easy. Refuse cooperation and let arrogance collapse itself. But nations are not waiting for collapse. They are rushing to align, to hedge, to negotiate, because they recognize leverage when they see it. You cannot meme your way through geopolitics. You cannot hashtag your way through statecraft. You cannot name call your way out of a realignment you failed to anticipate. Outrage is not analysis. Emotion is not strategy. Disbelief is not a plan. History rewards those who take power seriously. It rarely waits for those who shout at reality as though volume will alter its shape. Part 3. The New Alliance Map. This new alignment is not about authoritarianism or ideology. It is about seriousness. Countries that remain grounded in sovereignty, resource security, and economic realism are rising. Argentina is restructuring its economy and aligning with hemispheric strategy. Mexico is becoming the backbone of North American reindustrialization. The Middle East is treated not as a moral project, but as indispensable partners in stability and minerals. ASEAN states are approached with respect, not paternalism in Venezuela. For years, many assumed U.S. pressure was merely about narcotics. That is a factor, but not the strategic core. Venezuela has threatened Guyana and attempted to claim the Essequibo region, a direct challenge to rising oil production that is critical to Western Hemisphere energy security. American energy companies, including ExxonMobil and Hess, are deeply invested in Guyana's offshore development. To destabilize Guyana is not only to threaten regional peace, it is to threaten American capital, supply stability, and strategic positioning. Washington will not sit idle while its interests are menaced. Meanwhile, Canada still attempts to operate on moral persuasion. It criticizes protectionism while facing WTO complaints from the United States, the United Kingdom, New Zealand, Japan, and China. It performs openness while protecting domestic monopolies. It speaks of friendship while misunderstanding leverage. U.S. negotiators increasingly see Canada not as hostile, but as unserious. Canada mistook proximity for permanence, rhetoric for relevance, tone for leverage. And while other nations secure minerals, supply chains, technology corridors, and energy capacity, Canada seeks applause in studios while others secure influence in the real world. And contrast that with Japan. In a recent meeting, President Trump told Japan's new prime minister,
On behalf of our country, I want to just let you know, anytime you have any question, any doubt, anything you want, any favors you need, anything I can do to help Japan, we will be there. We are an ally at the strongest level.
our alliance will be stronger than ever. Anytime you need anything, any question, any doubt, any favor, we will be there. We are allies at the strongest level. Those words once would have been spoken to Canada. Alliances are not heirlooms, they are earned. Japan demonstrated seriousness. Canada demonstrated sentiment. Being unloved is not dangerous in geopolitics. Being irrelevant is. The quiet consequence. The United States secures Argentine lithium. Structured access to Ukraine's mineral base through reconstruction agreements, Guyanese offshore oil reserves, Middle Eastern energy and mineral partnerships, ASEAN trade corridors, Mexican supply chain and industrial integration. Then Canada's leverage evaporates, not by punishment, but by redundancy. Nations are not sidelined by cruelty, they are sidelined by irrelevance. The US is not punishing Canada, Canada is punishing itself. Closing history has a rhythm. Ideology rises, it outruns reality. Reality returns quietly, and when it does, those who adapt rise. Those who cling to sentiment fade. The world is not becoming cruel, it is becoming serious. And seriousness, not slogans, will shape the next era. The question is no longer who has the loudest rhetoric, but who secures capacity, who adapts, who recognizes the terms of the world as it is. Some nations have already turned the corner, some have not. Time will reveal the difference, quietly and without apology.